I can't stress how important it is to focus on your own business and staying true to your mission statement. Simply put, don't worry about what other businesses are doing in your industry because they aren't you. What's for you will always be for you, and that's the way God intended it. No one else can take what God has planned for you. No one else on this planet can steal the blessings that God has in store for you. So stay focused and have tunnel vision. Remember, there would be no Pepsi if they were so concerned and focused on what Coca-Cola was doing or has already done. So what happens when you pocket watch and focus on businesses other than your own? It's simple. You lose your own identity. This is the same reason why most artists in the music industry don't listen to the radio.
That's why I don't listen to other artists, and I had to explain that in so many interviews.
Because they don't want their art to be reflective or impacted or influenced by what they hear on the radio. The same thing applies for your own business. That's why I say what? Mind your own business. This is the best way for you to stay authentic and original. You should focus on getting to know your target audience and then start and create a niche within your industry. Then that alone will help you separate yourself from the rest. But this will also help you raise capital for your business, but we'll get into that a little later on in this course. Something that's very near and dear to my heart is emotional intelligence. This is something that most of us struggle with as humans, but is crucial to the survival of your business. Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify and manage one's own emotions and the emotions of others. How many of us have witnessed our coworkers or peers allow their emotions to get the best of them, causing them to say or do something that ultimately led to them losing their job or relationship or worse? Now, how many of us have ever experienced that themselves, right? So this is an example of self-sabotage. If you want to scale your business and create real generational wealth, you must first master emotional intelligence. You're either going to learn to control your emotions or allow your emotions to control you. And you can't run both. You can't run your business and allow your emotions to run you, right? So we're going to get that squared away today. Now we're going to talk about some common characteristics of someone with low versus high emotional intelligence. So someone with low emotional intelligence could include egotistical, confrontational, easily distracted, resistant to change, and a perfectionist, right? Perfectionistic. Okay, those are all characteristics of someone with low emotional intelligence. Now let's talk about someone with high emotional intelligence. Now they tend to be strong-willed, optimistic, charming, enthusiastic, sociable, and systematic. Now you tell me, between these two options, which would you trust to run your business? Now let's talk about your feelings. Yes, yours. F them. Yes, you heard that correctly. F your feelings. No, like seriously. This is a skill that you have to develop. You have to figure out how to metaphorically say F your feelings. F my feelings. Sorry, but it's for your own good. Part of developing the emotional intelligence skill is learning how to metaphorically say F my feelings. Like I said before, who's really running your business? Are you running your business, or is every decision that you make controlled by your emotions? Because if that's the case, then your emotions are running your business. The better you get at ignoring how you feel about something and instead making decisions based on logic and research, the more success prone you will be. I highly recommend picking up the book Your Feelings by Ryan Munsey. Now, this is an incredible book. I know how it sounds, but it's really just to pull you in as a reader and make you want to grab the book off the shelf. This is a highly intelligent book about how to master your mind. It really goes into the science of why we all struggle with this, so much. But the moment you flip that gear and you learn how to, again, ignore those emotions and how you feel, the better you will become as an entrepreneur. When I started my first business many years ago, my main objective was to get supplemental income. Once I started making more money in my business than I did at my corporate job, I had an epiphany. I said, man, I don't want to quit my job because right now I have multiple streams of income. But then it hit me, man, what if I had several streams of income that are on this same level and I can do them all at the same time without having to, add any additional stress, right? But I made a mistake. And this is the mistake I want all of you to, avoid at all costs, right? So we've all heard the term multiple streams of income, right? Now there's a big difference between having multiple streams of income and having a business that you've monetized and created streams of income. So I'm gonna give you an example. You see, for the longest time, I considered myself to be a serial entrepreneur. Then I realized how difficult it was managing these businesses. But that was only because I was doing it all wrong. I was trying to be a jack of all trades. And you know what they say about jack of all trades? What? They are a master of none. My entire life changed when I realized that I could take the one business that I have and create additional streams of income from that one business. So let me give you an example, right? So my first business was a credit repair business. Now, from that credit repair business, I then added multiple services. For example, the first service I added was trade lines. After that, I also added personal funding, then business funding, then business credit, then student loan assistance. So each of these individual services were streams of income that flowed into the one big ocean that I call my umbrella company, my business. And so that's the proper way to do it. So if you're always looking for side hustles, that's okay. But unless you're going to automate everything, I want you to instead don't make the same mistake that many of us make. Try to take your business and figure out how to maximize and monetize that business to create additional streams of income within that one business. And I want you to remember this later on in the course when we start talking about DBAs and trade names, because this is going to be crucial to how you establish business credit and also avoid denials when trying to get funding. Something that I love sharing with anyone who's either looking to start a business or has their own business is the cash flow quadrant. If you don't know already, cash is trash and cash flow is king. One of the best things I did for myself as a new small business owner was read Robert T. Kiyosaki's famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, this book literally changed the way I thought about money, okay? This book basically educates you on how the fact that in America, this whole American dream was really just a system designed to train all of its citizens to be employees for their whole lives, hoping that, they work long enough. And then, when they do retire, hopefully they have enough savings put aside to basically be free for a few years until they die, right? So the follow-up book to that was the Cash Flow Quadrant. Now, this has everything to do with your lifestyle of choice, all right? And I'm gonna go ahead and pop it up right here on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And as you can see, there are 4 different quadrants. So the first quadrant, what you see here is going to be quadrant E. So E stands for employee. Then you have S. S stands for self-employed. Then on the other side, the top, you have B. B is business owner. And then at the bottom, I stands for investor. The first thing I want you to know is that no matter what sector you're in, you can find a lot of success. But again, depending on what side of the pendulum you swing or you stay on is going to decide what lifestyle you have. The people on the left side of the cash flow quadrant, and you can be in more than one, will always work for money. You may find financial freedom, but you will never, ever find time freedom, because when you stop, the money stops. That's why it has always been my goal to transition fully over to the right side of the cash flow quadrant, because then I have time freedom, which if you remember earlier on in another module, I told you that's my purpose, right? That's my why. I'm really trying my hardest and I really want to be time free. I want to be able to go where I want and do what I want. And I want my business, more importantly, to continue on when I'm on vacation. And ultimately, if I decide to pass it on to my son or my family members, I can do so because everything is set up on vacation mode, I like to say. So at the conclusion of this video, I want you to take a look at the cash flow quadrant, figure out where you are now, decide where you want to be, and if you prefer to be on the left side or the right side of the cash flow quadrant, there is no right answer. I just think it's in your best interest to make that decision now, because every move you make afterwards will either keep you on the left or the right side. Choose wisely. The concept of paying yourself first is the best way to develop discipline as a business owner. I'm talking trial by fire. It's proven that humans perform much better when their backs are against the wall or when they have something to lose. No different than sports, right? When you have real motivation backing you, 9 times out of 10, you're going to give it 110%. So if you want to motivate yourself to give 110% in your business, then you want to adapt or practice this concept of paying yourself first. And this can be literally or metaphorically. There's different ways that you can do this. Paying yourself first is when you put yourself in a position where winning is the only option, right? I mean, it's either going to work or it's going to work. Like, there is no plan B. This is the mentality you have to reach a certain level of discipline. I felt this strategy was important for me to introduce prior to, getting to the coming modules on how to build business credit and tap into unlimited capital, because you will have to financially invest in yourself in order for this to work. It's time to put your money where your mouth is. And I have tons of faith that you will succeed and put this information to use, because you've already taken the first step. But enough is enough. Let's get into it. I'm so excited. I think you guys are ready to get started. What do you think?